One of the things that would falsify evolution is an out-of-place fossil. Creationists claim that we find these all the time, but are these in fact out-of-place fossils? We'll take a look at a few examples given by creationists and find out that these, like most other creationist claims, are based on poor understanding of the material and a failure to do adequate research. I want to start with these, touted by young Earth creationists such as Carl Bow, Kent Hovind, and even YouTube's own Venom Fang X, as human hand bones in Cretaceous rock. These have actually been confirmed repeatedly as the bones from the flippers belonging to the remains of a fossilized Cretaceous sea turtle. Oh, and as always, research references will be provided in the video description. Up next, we have what is claimed to be a fossilized leg inside of a boot made around 1950. The bones in question show no indication that outside minerals have begun to replace the original material. In other words, they show no trace of fossilization. Even if they were, it would not be conclusive evidence that all fossils formed quickly, or provide any evidence against the theory of evolution. Malachite and Moab man both exposed hoaxes at best. Neither of these were found in solid rock, but rather in loose sand about 15 feet deep. Furthermore, the people making claims about these two finds have been less than cooperative with providing information. Unusual to say the least if they thought their claims could be verified. Also of note is the fact that the bones in question, like the leg bones in the boot we just discussed, show little or no traces of mineralization, an obvious sign of a more recent burial. Up next, this hammer. The hammer is encrusted with calcium carbonate, which is known to happen quickly. There is no evidence the hammer is more than a few decades old. In order to claim the hammer as a reliable out-of-place artifact, one would need either convincing documentation that the hammer was once naturally embedded in an ancient rock formation, or pendant scientific evidence indicating a problematic age for the hammer, neither of which have been provided. The lack of evidence for the first condition has already been acknowledged by creationists, and Carl Bow for a long time refused to allow the hammer to be carbon-14 dated. This was likely because he had 3 conditions for such testing, the last of which was that someone else pay for the test, which he had no reason to expect, as he was the one making the claim, and it was up to him to back it up. Even when the money was put up to do such testing, it was declined until the late 90s when it was reported that carbon-14 dating had recently been done on a specimen from inside the handle, and that the results showed inconclusive dates ranging from the present to 700 years ago. Even then, no information was given about when or where the testing was done, nor was any formal report referenced. Next, an iron pot found in coal in 1912. This claim is scientifically useless, as it relies on a single letter written 36 years later in 1948. The letter even states that the coal was not found in place, but had already gone through an undetermined amount of processing. Finally, perhaps the one most touted by young Earth creationists, the Paluxy footprints, a long since exposed hoax that can still be found referenced as if it was real. This is one of the prints most often shown by creationists, but even this one has long been known to have been hand-carved. The remaining prints known to have originated in the riverbed show only dinosaur prints, and none resemble man tracks without deliberate alteration or selective highlighting. I would also like to point out, as I said a moment ago, that this hoax can still be found referenced by creationists as if it was true. On the flip side, the hoax of Piltdown Man was never accepted by the scientific community, and the hoax was exposed and abandoned. Nebraska Man was never accepted. Drawings based on it were labeled as highly imaginative, and after more evidence was gathered, a retraction was issued. Both have been over and done with for decades. Yet the Paluxy hoax and the other examples given in this video are still used by creationists as if they were real, and it becomes obvious they haven't bothered to lift a finger to do even the slightest amount of research, and they have no understanding of how the scientific method actually works. What do you think this says about their true motives? And with other similar arguments to these from creationists that have been just as poorly researched, What reason do I have for taking creationist claims seriously?